Welcome to Smoke Signals, everyone. I'm Matt Montgomery, along with Athletic Director and Head Football Coach Jason Holman, fighting Indians on the road this week at Chapel Hill. Coach, last week's Kilgore game, coming into the game, this is the number 5, 6 ranked team in the state, depending on what poll you look at. It's a great football team, and they showed it Friday night.
Yeah, very good football team, top to bottom. They had a lot of skill, a lot of positions, and a lot of depth to what they're doing. I think they're going to have an opportunity to go very far.
Just a lot of ball games are won in the trenches, and this was really I won't say it's the first game, but it was the most evident where it really felt like they controlled the line of scrimmage. Thought you had a good offensive scheme called, but it just that they're so physical up front.
Yeah,
Kilgore is
physical up front, and we knew that going in. We knew we had to be at our very, very best to stay in the game with them. We had an opportunity for a touchdown that was caught in the end zone, that was ruled out of bounds, that could have swung the momentum a little differently for us. But yeah, at the end of the day, they're a very, very good football team.
So after the ball game, I know you talked to your team and addressing them. You saw some really good effort out of some kids that are getting some time now. Talk a little bit about that and what you saw out of them that you haven't been seeing.
Well, the fact that we want to play the game from start to finish, and regardless of circumstance, we want to play and give great effort. There were some examples of that last Friday night that we hadn't been seeing in previous games, where we might have just, kind of turned it in a little bit early. And I was just proud to see those particular kids fight through adversity and keep playing. Playing with the intentions of improving is the most important thing that we've got to make sure that we do week in and week out.
Let's look at the highlights. Jacksonville versus Kilgore. Here's Rodarius, the freshman, with 27 yards here.
Yeah, I thought Rodarius really came on in this game. He's starting to figure out some of the schemes that we're running and where to hit and, when to have patience and that sort of thing.
Well, watch Zeke just zero in and make the tackle.
Really good play by Zeke. Was proud of him there in that instance.
Here, Jermaine gets over the top of the safety, and Brady nails him from 41.
Yeah, really good throw and catch. Helped us get into the end zone, and he had the other one, too, that was called back.
Nice play by DK. I thought he might have had a pick 6 on this one.
Yeah, it was late in the game. We were playing off a little bit, and he saw an opportunity there.
Nice catch here, movement by Brady for 17 to Jermaine.
Good job by Brady moving around in the pocket and getting rid of the football.
And here's the touchdown that wasn't. This was a touchdown.
Yeah.
Called out of bounds. Yep. Froze it right there. Yeah. Official got straight line.
Bang, bang, and the official made the wrong call there, but that's part of it.
Here's Jordan getting a tackle for loss for 2 yards.
Jordan's one of those that shows up week in and week out and plays his butt off.
Tough run here by Searles again for 10. Look at the tackles here. He just pushes.
Yeah, good job keeping his feet alive. Good job protecting the football, which is something we've really been working with him on.
Coach, statistically, probably your lowest output offensively with only 178 total yards. You only had the one turnover, which is good. But again, you have to go back to this Kilgore defense. They're just really good, and there's just no other way to describe it.
Yeah, and like I said, we knew that going in. We knew we had to be at our best and do what we could do to control the ball. Which coaches did a pretty good job of milking some clock a little bit, try to keep it out of their offensive hands. Their offense was very explosive as well. So, it's tough for us, but it's indicative of this district and this region.
Well, it doesn't get any easier this week, Coach. In Chapel Hill Friday night, the Chapel Hill Bulldogs ranked number 1 in some polls. Back in the dog pound, a place you know so well, where you won a state championship as the defensive coordinator. What's that going to be like for you going back to Chapel Hill after that run you guys made there as a coach?
It'll be exciting for me. It's a place that we spent 6 years of our life there, and a lot of good memories back at Chapel Hill. They're a very, very good football team. I think they're a little different than Kilgore. They're going to run by you, run around you, run over you, that sort of thing. Kilgore's probably maybe a little more physical football team, but Chapel Hill is extremely talented in all areas.
Yeah, that's when I think about Chapel Hill and I watch their highlights. I think flash. They have a lot of flash. I mean, the quarterback Brisbane and, of course, Ricky Stewart, they've both been starting since they were freshmen. They're SMU commits. They just have all that speed. But besides those two guys, they also have some other pretty good players too.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Offensive line, defensive line, both are very good, very fast. Their defense as a whole is very fast from the secondary to the front. They'll run you down if you try to outrun them to the edge and that sort of thing. Offensively, yeah, it's about the big play for them. And, they try to mix it up between the quarterback and the running back and running the ball. They bring receivers in and use them to run the ball. They've got good skill out there at the receiver position, and their offensive line's very good. They fit you up very well, and they're physical.
Of course, last week you mentioned a moment ago how you guys offensively, ran the play clock down. I would think this week it'd be even more important to do that with Chapel Hill.
Yeah, I mean, we want to run our offense, and we don't want to do anything to distract us from doing that. But in the course of doing that, as much as we can do offensively, keep the ball out of their hand, is certainly going to help us. And I thought we did a good job of that at times against Kilgore. We need to continue to be able to do that. So there'll be some times maybe if we get a big play where we might try to rush something on them just to get an edge. But, typically speaking, our normal operation will be using some clock there too. That's part of playing defense on offense.
Yeah. So how will you attack Chapel Hill offensively? I mean, what are some of the things that you think you can have success at doing?
Well, I think we got to be able to run at them. I don't think we're going to be able to run around them or outside of them. I think we got to be able to run at them. I think in the secondary, there's some holes in the secondary that we've got to exploit, and it's not because they're not athletic. It's just because of the nature of their scheme, and they're very aggressive. They'll bring edge pressure quite a bit from their outside linebackers, and we got to be able to raise up and throw some hot throws to the edge when they do that, because they don't have the numbers out there, that they would have typically if that guy wasn't blitzing off the edge. So it's pretty much a take what they give you type of mentality, and take care of the football and be patient, understanding that you're playing a very, very good team, and they're not going to have a lot of weaknesses. So what holes they give us, we've got to take, and we've got to exploit those opportunities.
And, of course, defensively, we've already mentioned the great players. You said they got a great offensive line. This seems to be a week, Coach, where your defensive scheme isn't near as important as being in the right place and staying in the right place at the right time, because these guys will exploit that.
Yeah, absolutely. And they utilize both quarterback and running back in their run game. So, it's not like you can just pinpoint one direction that they're going with the football. Quarterback will pull it on you, and he'll get around the edge if you're not staying at home. So we're going to a couple things we're going to tweak defensively to try to maintain an edge presence and make sure we've got enough. At the end of the day, they run the ball about 65, 68% of the time, and that's who they want to be. And we've got to be able to have enough in the box to stop the run and still be able to control the edges if they pull it on us, and try to get out the back door.
It's week 7. The season obviously it's been tough. What has your message been to your team this week in practice as you move forward to getting into the part of the schedule, Coach, that you're still alive? I mean, you can still win football games and get in the playoffs. I know it doesn't feel like that right now. Somebody may be watching this and saying, "Oh man, you haven't won a game yet," but that's not the point. I mean, no, it's week to week. What has been your message to your team?
Well, anything worth doing is worth doing well and worth getting better at. And that's been the message. What we want to see, and it's what I told them prior to the game against Kilgore last week. We want to see an earnest, honest effort at improvement, and it starts with effort. And that was what I made reference to earlier when you brought that up. Saw some kids that gave some effort. Rodarius Searles as a freshman stepping in at the running back, gave us a little spark there in the running game that we may not have had otherwise. And, kids like Jordan Dorsey, who gives great effort every single week, and doesn't matter if we're up, down, or in between. I mean, he's going to give that kind of effort. And that's what we're preaching. It's just got to be the effort to stay competitive and stay in a football game. And don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your teammates, regardless of the situation. So, this is another game where obviously the cards are stacked against us with who we're playing. But doesn't mean there's not an opportunity for us to go out and improve what we do and get better at playing.
As always, Coach, keys to the game for your team.
Got to control them from a defensive standpoint. We've got to be able to somehow maintain, the line of scrimmage. We can't let them get the explosive plays on us. We got to understand where we need to be and why we need to be there, and the fact that they've got more than just one option back there to run the football. In the passing game, they like the long ball. They'll rear back and chuck it 60 yards down the field and try to throw it over your head. So we've got to be competitive in the back end and be able to go up and contest every single ball that they throw, and just be able to control the game and not let it turn into a track meet. From an offensive standpoint, we've got to be able to move the ball against a very, very talented defense. Like I mentioned earlier, got to be able to take advantage of what they give us and be patient enough that we don't lose our poise. And I'm not saying that someone may not break open on a scrambling situation and be able to get a big play, but generally speaking, they're going to do a very good job of keeping us in front of them, keeping us in front of them, and we've got to take what they give us and just be able to control the ball.
It's Jacksonville versus Chapel Hill at Bulldog Stadium. Kickoff coming up at 7:30. For head coach Jason Holman, I'm Matt Montgomery. We'll see you next time right here on Smoke Signals.